Dr. Chuck the Science Schmuck.
Synchronized. Well, I'm back again, at least ostensibly. Had to sit around, review my shtick a little bit, because it gets a little old for me. It's like I'm looking, and I'm realizing that as a science-ish YouTuber, I've entered a rarefied field, that it's actually pretty abundant, but the people on the top are really on the top. I mean, there's people synthesizing entire zebras out of Tylenol out there, and I'm like, well, I have a desk that's badly stained, and like a $30 budget, and a bunch of junk. And then I realized, that's the point. And nobody really watches this. This channel is not for general consumption, just like those little silica beads that taste so good. It's for me to document my stuff. Uh, Reviewing my shtick, it's not, oh, I'm going to use science correctly to do a task. It's, I want to do science, but I'm too dumb, and there's a why. So I solve the same problems with schmuckery, because that seems to be adequate for me. It's mostly this room is full of junk that I need to use up. I need to build things that I need to do. The videos don't really matter that much. That's what got me distracted, is that my other YouTube channel actually kind of started to take off a little. Not hugely, not to the point where I can make money off of it, but it's way easier to do than this one. So that one has taken up all my time. But now I'm like, well, I haven't actually built anything physical in a long time. So it's time to get physical. Ironically, by doing the exact opposite of that. No, it's not going to be another video about complaining about advertising. I do that constantly in my sleep anyway. The thing is, I've seen this thing called YouTube Shorts, and I don't like it. I don't like it in the slightest. The only reason I go on YouTube is for the comments. I really like the comments. Oh, you take away that and you make fake TikTok, what's even the point? TikTok is worse. I can't stand TikTok. Can't figure out the user interface in the slightest. Try to post a video, they come up with postage stamps. And I'm like, why is that a thing? I don't know why TikTok can't make a video like the full size of the screen. The point is, YouTube Shorts seems easier. I know how to use YouTube. I came from YouTube. I am YouTube. I am a YouTuber. I have 20 the dust came up. I have 20 subscribers. So my thought is, I need a way to post videos onto Shorts, not from this channel, to the other one primarily. Then I go and try, and it's like, well, you can only use that from phones. There's one thing I can't figure out worse than I can't figure out TikTok, is I can't figure out cell phones. I'm 47 years old. 46? I don't want to do the math right now. I'm old. I can't use a cell phone. My fingers can't tap the tiny buttons. My eyes can't see the tiny screen. I can't use it. It doesn't work for me. I use computers, big tower computers, hooked to Ethernet cables. Except the one computer that doesn't like to stay connected to the internet. So I need to make a computer that can interface to YouTube Shorts. That is a tiny problem, solvable by downloading one simple software that basically switches your Chrome application to Android. But I don't know how to do software. Do I look like somebody who actually gets, money for doing software? Instead, I have this. That's a cell phone. Because I got a new cell phone, which is smaller. Now, technology is going the way I didn't think it would. Smaller. Should have seen that one coming, though. Anyway, I got a new phone, which freed up my old phone. So I'm going to turn this phone into a tiny laptop computer. The one thing that makes that a little challenging is that this is a Galaxy A12. You're going to ask yourself, what's a Galaxy A12? Interestingly, when I took it to the store to say, hey, can I put this new phone, this old phone, on a new plan, they said, what in the world is an A12? Nobody knows what an A12 is because it's not compatible with anything. It's a weird phone that existed like 5 or 6 years ago as I guess the budget option. The annoying thing is that it's not MHL compatible, which, if you don't know what MHL compatible is, neither do I. Really, it's very confusing. But my new job has essentially primarily been around organizing legacy cables in a windowless room. And I had to look up a lot of cables, and I realized that modern cell phones, this one, have a capability in their USB-C. USB-C is basically just two USBs back to back, but you can connect USB-C to an HDMI, and it will automatically read in the hardware and say, oh yeah, I can project that. I can connect this phone to my TV and watch stuff on the TV just by plugging an adapter in there. A12 doesn't do that, which is odd considering USB has done that since like 2010, and this phone is like from 2016. But for some reason was built in such a way that it has limited compatibility. Doesn't matter. I don't know how to do software. I don't know how to do hardware, even less. I know how to do wood. So what I'm going to do is put that one back in my pocket and figure out a way to turn this cell phone into a computer. Because I'm this old that I have to do this now. That I can't figure out how to use technology to the extent that, look, I can turn on the screen. I don't know. Maybe if I can figure this out, I can finally figure out a way to use TikTok. Stages. I got to make sure the hardware is hard. And that I have a lot of hardware. It's very dusty, very moldy. I found it in a basement. So the first key to making a USB-C work, as I said before, USB-C, oxidized. That may not. I'm already so badly poisoned. Who cares if a little moldy, half-corroded copper gets into me? It gets it conducting. A USB-C is, I don't know computers in the slightest, that's why I'm having this problem. A USB-C is two USBs. It's an input and an output simultaneously. It's like just two regular mini USBs structurally built into one. A USB, which that is a rant all its own, is that I can't stand when computers just have USB-C. Peripherals are never USB-C. You have to get one of these, and sometimes these things are bigger than the computer. This one's a small one, which you may not realize, but it fits into the phone, and ostensibly, the phone should recognize it as a connection. Okay. Peripherals then. I have this, which is also pretty badly corroded. That is a dongle for a mouse. Why does my insides hurt? There's the mouse. It needs a double A, but I got a triple A. Yeah, it's weird. Like, double A is an odd size. It's like almost like it's asking for a D battery at this point. Well, that connects in there. And then this turns on. The light, up, shouldn't stare into it. And nothing happens. Well, let's try the keyboard. Not working. This is where the troubleshooting comes in. Let's try it with the other phone. The other phone recognizes it. Kind of. So, it does work. I think that might be the problem. Is that the mouse turns off within like 10 seconds of being connected. Because this phone is recognizing it too, kind of. It might just be that it's so incredibly incompatible. This is a different connector. This one was not stored in the basement for a long time. This is one I actually use on my computer when I use a computer. So let's try plugging stuff into it and see if it actually works. Because I know it works. Now we're just trying to figure out why the phone doesn't agree with it. Ooh, that is something annoying. This. Why is it that when I swipe the phone the wrong way, it starts advertising me wallpapers? This isn't like 2015. I don't need wallpapers. Aha! You can't see that in the slightest. And if I turn it backward, it's so difficult to use. Simply put, it does work. For example, well, the problem there is if I type that in, you're going to see my search history, and that's no good. What else? Whoa, what is that? Why? Okay, that is weird. So yeah, for some reason it's trying to connect me to Facebook to learn about Ellen DeGeneres because it thinks I'm like 90 instead of 40. So if I type food, it comes up. I can type into the phone, for some reason only using this Hogure and not the Chaussure. I don't know why this one's not functioning with this phone because I already proved that it does work with the alternate phone. I even licked it. There's I plug things into the blue colored one instead of the oh, okay. Okay, no. Okay. The keyboard light does turn on now. But when the keyboard's running, the mouse don't. Okay, one, there's corrosion issues that I think is giving me a bad connection. The key, oh yeah, that's heavily oxidized, from moist conditions. The key to that is stick it in and back out a lot of times. It'll scratch its way back. Interesting trivia. Did you know that USBs are one of the few ports that do not have a male and female? Because the male, technically, aspect is a little stick inside the plug, whereas the female aspect is the thing that you stick into the thing. So they're backward from what you would normally consider this sort of thing. Biggest issue, I think, is the wireless mouse. For some reason, the wireless mouse, if you don't touch it, shuts down. I may replace that with, do I have, it's more hairy than I expected. Corded mouse, verbatim. That's probably a company. So that means that the hardware does fundamentally work. Sort of, kind of. Ooh, I'm not confident. That's why the space bar is stuck. I need to disassemble this whole keyboard and lube it up. Interestingly, I do know that if you had, okay, so stage one, I have to make sure, I have to basically clean this. I have to clean all this, wipe those down, and take apart the keyboard and give it a clean, and then have everything functional so I can start building the casing. Did you know that if you just slam this down long enough, and if you have enough monkeys and enough room, they will eventually write the entirety of the works of Shakespeare, except probabilistically they won't, as I proved earlier. Didn't really prove it wasn't an effective statistically valid calculation. I do like the size of this keyboard, it's very fun. I don't like how numlock turns half the letters into numbers, because I don't know numbers. I'm going to wash things. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, I cleaned the keyboard. It is now very much clean and also greasy, because I also uncleaned it with WD-40, which turns out is a bad idea to spray into a computer keyboard because it gets everywhere. So it all clicks, it types. The mold issue has been solved. I don't know why it was moldy, but it was. Basically, the keys were just jamming up because it was full of gunk inside. Now, it's time to build a housing or casing for the thing. And to do that, I've got some lumber. I got this. I was fortunate to get this because they were redoing roofing on this complex, and I went through the dumpsters. And I got this piece of plywood, which is just about the perfect size. So what I want to accomplish is similar to what this accomplished. That's a case. You may ask, why do I have a bizarrely constructed wooden case? The answer is because I already did this project and failed at it a long time ago. Hence why this case is so moldy. And I think I even filmed part of that in the ye olde days of yore. It didn't work because this was all wrong size for what I was trying to do. but for some reason I still have it. So basically the idea would be to take some of these hinges off and have a clamshell design where the keyboard will sit on this. Probably, this has a hole in it, don't ask why. The answer why is because I was trying to make copper-based concrete in a hole. Turns out, if you put copper carbonate in concrete, the whole thing just goes... those can act as a border, and then hinge it so that there is a lid which contains then the... not this cell phone, but the cell phone would be up here like a screen, so it's like a little laptop. The question will be getting the balance right so it doesn't go... So the first step in that is to sew the lumber. Cut the lumber? What if I can sew lumber? Well, okay. I've gotten it sort of working. Oh, my voice is fading out. I don't know why. Probably from using fire. Because fire was required for the recipe. So... that's what it looks like. I've combined the wood in the way that I described. It is held up by these little chains that I cut out of an old fluorescent light. This is held here. The phone fits in. This is where the heat was required. It's held in by a copper wire that comes up from the back and acts like a spring. That's also how this is held in. It all connects. It's got a keyboard. I got the wireless mouse working. Now, it may be slightly challenging to see. I'm standing right next to it, so I got the mouse here. Say I want to go to the Play Store. I can open that with the mouse. What do I want to download? Spotify's already on this phone, but I can go find Spotify. Oh, look, it's right there. I can use this as basically a little tiny laptop computer. Now, as for YouTube, the legendary YouTube, I double-click because I'm a boomer. Part of the issue I have with YouTube is that it doesn't really sense the horizontal landscape necessarily well. It does sometimes, about half the time. When you run a video, it'll run a video in horizontal, but the app on the A12 doesn't reliably turn. That's why it's doing this. And what the problem with this is, the mouse thinks it's vertical. So when I move the mouse horizontal, it moves up. Fortunately, this is still touchscreen. See, it is sideways. That will go away sometimes, but not always. So using YouTube will be interesting to figure out how to do. But otherwise, ow, that's pointy. Turning off the phone is as simple as touching the bottom. That turns off the screen. Wipe that dust. Now, does it close? Yes. You have to adjust the chain slightly, but it goes into this neat little folded carrying mode where I can shove that under something and keep it safe. Notice there's no cord. It runs on the phone's batteries, so you would need to recharge the phone. I can also open it 100% and use it like this if I wanted to, just by taking off the chain, which is held in by these hooks that I probably should squeeze. I made a tiny laptop computer out of a phone, out of wood that I found on a roof, a bunch of moldering parts that I found in the basement and bought for like $5 off of Amazon, and somehow managed to get to work by a combination of licking it and putting WD-40 in an old keyboard. I consider this a smashing success, and therefore, I now have a machine. I've done something. I feel so accomplished. There's a tree out there. That finalizes this video. I've finally gotten one to its conclusion for the first time in 6 months. Now I just got to go through the 10-hour process of editing it. So hopefully this does get posted. If it does get posted, you watched it. If you didn't watch it, well then why are you here? Because clearly you're not.